Hello, I'm Karen Christiansen, President of ACT's Retirement Life Communities. Welcome to our latest edition of ACT's Vision, Our Journey Forward, filmed on May 6, 2021. As we enter the month of May, we recognize that our journey battling the pandemic now enters its 15th month. It was clear from the onset that we were facing a marathon and not a sprint. And together, we are approaching the finish line. Throughout our journey, it has been our goal to provide for the safety of our residents and employees and keep everyone well informed. These videos are part of those efforts, and we are pleased to provide this update on our COVID-19 related activity, including Phase 3 of reopening, COVID-19 vaccinations, and active cases. With our success in administering vaccinations and the high level of resident participation, we hope that all residents at each community are enjoying campus activities that have been reinstated as part of our Phase 3 campus reopenings. As state and local restrictions and regulations continue to change, such as mask wearing and capacity limits in public spaces, we will continue to adjust our protocols accordingly. Our advocacy efforts also continue in support of the easing of restrictions in Oakbridge Terrace and Willowbrook Court. Since these levels of care are highly regulated, we must follow the directives of governing agencies, including the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services and state and local health departments. As a reminder, if federal, state, and local regulations conflict, we must follow those that are the strictest within our health centers. I am pleased to share that regulations are starting to be adjusted in recognition of vaccination status. Dr. Paul will share specific details with you in this episode. Since the vaccine's availability in December, our mass vaccination efforts have been extremely successful, with 97% of residents vaccinated and 69% of employees vaccinated. We continue to be greatly encouraged that our employee vaccination rates have been gradually increasing, approaching our target of 70% to achieve herd immunity. Of our 26 communities, 11 have reached employee herd immunity, and 2 communities are very close to reaching the 70% threshold. We thank all employees who have participated in the vaccination program and truly appreciate those who have not declined but continue to consider accepting a vaccine. For those seeking vaccination and for new members of the ACTS family, we continue to partner with CVS in obtaining vaccinations. There are 2 programs available to us, referred to as an ambulatory model and a distribution model. The ambulatory model, which we have shared, provides a dedicated priority vaccination reservation contact with vaccinations being administered at CVS stores in close proximity to our communities. Simply call 1-877-652-0918 to schedule your vaccine appointment. Please state that you are a resident or employee of ACT's Retirement Life Communities. The distribution model is the next step in the federal program to continue to provide vaccinations across the senior living industry. As previously reported, the majority of our communities have been approved as COVID-19 vaccine providers, enabling our clinicians to administer the vaccines at our communities. The next step is gaining access to the vaccines. This is the role of the distribution model provided by CVS in collaboration with the CDC. At this time, the CVS distribution model is expected to be available to us in all communities by the end of this month. CVS is currently solely distributing the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine for this federal distribution model program. Dr. Paul will share additional information on the status of the J&J vaccine. CVS's decision is largely based on the benefits of the J&J vaccine, including that only one dose is required, and each vaccine vial includes only 5 doses. This is of value since once a vial is opened, the 5 vaccines must be used within 6 hours. As such, if you are interested in receiving the J&J vaccine, please contact the Wellness Suite at your community. Once we have 5 interested individuals at a community or a cluster of ACTS communities, we can place an order with CVS and schedule your vaccination. We are also exploring opportunities to obtain the Pfizer and/or the Moderna vaccine through state and local health departments as they release more vaccines to various healthcare providers. We recently received 10 vials, which provides 100 doses of the Moderna vaccine at each of 2 of our Pennsylvania communities from the Pennsylvania Department of Health. These vaccines arrived frozen and can be kept frozen for up to 6 months. If you are a resident or employee in one of our Pennsylvania communities and are interested in receiving the Moderna vaccine, please contact your executive director or nurse practitioner. As you know, to date, ACTS has not made the COVID-19 vaccine mandatory for our employees, as the vaccines are currently available through an emergency use authorization. However, it is our intent to mandate the COVID-19 vaccine, similar to our flu vaccination policy, no later than when full use authorization is received from the FDA. But please do not wait for a policy change. Please consider getting vaccinated if you haven't already. We have absolutely seen the benefits of vaccinations. We are truly blessed that with high levels of vaccinations, there are low levels of positive COVID-19 cases within our communities. As of today, there continues to be no active resident cases, and we have 9 active employee cases. Of the 9 employees, 8 have not been vaccinated, and 1 is fully vaccinated. Although uncommon, we have experienced fully vaccinated individuals who have tested positive for COVID-19. In these cases, most are asymptomatic and test negative shortly after they test positive. As we celebrate Employee Appreciation Week, I would like to thank all of our employees for your endless dedication, personal sacrifices, and deep commitment to our mission. With your partnership and outstanding service, we have come a long way. And many thanks to our residents for supporting each other and our staff, and for your resiliency, patience, and cooperation. Together, we are ACT Strong, and together, we will prevail and prosper. And now it is my pleasure to welcome ACTS's Chief Medical Director, Dr. Paul Reinbold, to provide the latest news on the COVID-19 vaccines and answer more of the questions we've received since our last episode.
Thank you, Karen. As always, it is my pleasure to provide additional updates on recent developments regarding COVID-19 and the progress being made with vaccinations. A steady decline in new COVID cases in this country is a direct result of the powerful success of coordinated vaccination efforts. As of May 6th, over 247 million COVID vaccine doses have been administered in the United States at a current pace of approximately 2 million a day. Over 106 million Americans are fully vaccinated, representing 32% of the total U.S. population. Over 1.2 billion total doses have been administered around the world. This is nearly double the number we reported a month ago. When consideration is given to the immunity from vaccines, as well as prior infection, combined U.S. immunity is near 57% and increasing as vaccine efforts progress. However, all of those eligible to receive a vaccine need to get one in order to reach our goal of national herd immunity. The authorization of the Pfizer shot for those 12 to 15, expected next week, will boost the ability to achieve this comprehensive vaccination. The pause of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine certainly slowed recent vaccine progress. However, the FDA has once again cleared this vaccine for use. It is worth noting that the rare blood clots that raise concern have been seen in association with actual COVID infections and occur 8 to 10 times more frequently with actual infection than was seen with the J&J vaccine. I would also like to point out that after more than 8 million J&J vaccinations, these rare blood clots occurred in only 16 individuals. One was in a man in his 30s, the other 15 were in women under the age of 59. In all other groups, there is no confirmed evidence for these unusual clots. Given this data, coupled with the excellent performance of this vaccine in clinical trials, with no recognized hospitalizations or deaths from COVID-19 28 days after full vaccination, a cautious approach would be to recommend either Pfizer or Moderna shots for women under 59 and utilize any of the 3 available vaccines in all other groups. Ultimately, for women in this age group, the choice of vaccine is a decision that should be made jointly between that individual and their primary provider. The speed with which these unusual side effects were recognized and the full disclosure of the available data provides reassurance that no other unrecognized side effects are currently occurring after the administration of hundreds of millions of doses of all of these vaccines. This provides a high degree of confidence that should there be additional side effects, they will be quickly recognized and adjustments can be made if necessary. Our residents have accepted vaccinations overwhelmingly with a greater than 97% fully vaccinated success rate. This has resulted in a dramatic decrease in COVID-19 cases amongst residents at ACTS. We are almost exclusively seeing active infections occur among unvaccinated staff. Those that remain unvaccinated need to act to decrease the incidence of these cases and the risks they can still pose to our residents. During Employee Appreciation Week, we recognize the caring commitment and connection that staff have with ACTS residents. We acknowledge that residents continue to voice that the best part of living at an ACTS community is the employees, and they affirm their love for those employees. This bond is reflected in the concern for the safety and welfare of our residents demonstrated by our employees as they perform their duties every day at ACTS, caring for each other as a family does. Getting vaccinated is a natural extension and expression of this desire to keep our residents, our family, safe and free from COVID-19. Please keep this in mind if you are not yet vaccinated. It is an additional action you can take to again demonstrate your dedication, commitment, and love for all ACTS residents. As always, we have questions to answer. A few are new and a few are updates to prior queries as changes have occurred since they were originally answered.
Dr. Paul, is there any update on when a full-use authorization for a vaccine will occur?
The Pfizer vaccine is the furthest along in this process, given that it was the first vaccine to obtain emergency use authorization. The company just confirmed they are submitting an application for full use before the end of this month. Based on the timing of prior FDA decisions, and if there are no concerns, it would be expected the vaccine would be approved for a full-use biologics license by the first or second week of June. It is expected the Moderna vaccine will follow a similar path several weeks to a month later.
If booster shots are necessary, when will they be needed and will they be available?
Pfizer also announced they expect to complete their booster shot trial in early July 2021, and if the results are favorable, they plan to apply for emergency use authorization of a single-dose booster shot by the end of that same month. Again, we know Moderna is working on multiple options for booster shots, potentially combined to cover multiple variants in a single dose. As more information becomes available, we will share this as soon as we are able. It is still unclear at what time a booster will be necessary and if the need will be ongoing, but it is comforting to know that if needed, they likely will be available.
When can children get vaccinated?
On May 3rd, Pfizer announced they expect an emergency use authorization for their vaccine in the 12 to 15-year-old age group by the following week. Additionally, they set out a timeline with further milestones. they plan to complete a trial of their vaccine amongst the 2 to 11-year-old age group in September 2021, with an emergency use authorization application to follow that same month. Furthermore, their trial amongst those 6 months to 2 years of age should be completed by November 2021, and they will again file an application for emergency use by the end of that same month. The success of these trials and authorizations for these age groups will enable more comprehensive vaccinations and hopefully ensure a successful return to school in the fall, given the protection it will result.
What is vaccine shedding?
There is no evidence that vaccine shedding occurs. Unsubstantiated information spread over the internet and social media suggests that vaccinated individuals, as a part of the immune response to the vaccine, can transmit the spike protein elicited by vaccines. It is suggested this spike protein can lead to problems with fertility and complicate pregnancy. This idea has no basis in fact. No shedding of spike protein occurs. I would point out that if vaccines did lead to this result, actual COVID-19 infection would have the same effect, while of course causing infection, with the resulting risk for hospitalization and death. Getting a vaccine would obviously still be the preferred choice given those potential outcomes.
When will fully vaccinated residents that are admitted to Oakbridge Terrace and Willowbrook Court no longer need to quarantine for 14 days?
I am pleased to share that the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has updated its regulations to eliminate any quarantine or isolation for fully vaccinated asymptomatic residents that are admitted to Oakbridge Terrace or Willowbrook Court, or after return from a leave of 24 hours or greater. This is welcome news for our residents and their families and reflects the recognition of the protection afforded by vaccination. As of today, May 6th, all of the states with ACTS communities are following this recommendation. This is truly wonderful news. I would like to share another exciting change allowed by new Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services regulations. Many of you are aware that regular routine COVID testing is required of all staff in Oakbridge Terrace and Willowbrook Court. Thankfully, as COVID-19 activity in the surrounding community has diminished, less frequent testing has been required. Now, CMS is requiring that only unvaccinated staff are required to continue to participate in this testing. If you are not vaccinated and work in Oakbridge Terrace or Willowbrook Court, you can take action, get vaccinated, and eliminate these routine swabs. We expect more positive changes to regulations in these areas for those that are vaccinated as we journey forward, and will communicate these as they occur. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. And thank you for watching this week's episode of ACTS Vision, Our Journey Forward. We encourage you to please continue to send any questions you have about the vaccine and our current campus protocols to your executive director so that we can address them in upcoming episodes. May God continue to bless you, your family, and the entire ACTS organization.